Hello again. I'm going to read a few more from Frog and Toad. I'm sitting here in my jammy jams on a Saturday morning with my slippers on, and these seem to be the best stories to read today. This one from Frog and Toad is called The Garden. Some of you might have a garden in your backyard or your front yard. We used to have one, and we're going to start planting more when we get back to the school. We're going to plant flowers and maybe, who knows what else. Maybe we'll plant some tomatoes again. We'll see. Well, Frog was in his garden. Toad came walking by. "Oh, what a fine garden you have, Frog," he said. "Yes," said Frog, "it is very nice, but it was hard work." "I wish I had a garden," said Toad. "Well, here are some flower seeds. Plant them in the ground," said Frog, "and soon you will have a garden." "How soon?" asked Toad. "Oh, quite soon," said Frog. Toad ran home, and he planted the flower seeds. "Now, seeds," said Toad, "start growing." Is that how it works? I don't think so. Toad walked up and down a few times. The seeds did not start to grow. Toad put his head close to the ground and said loudly, "Now, seeds, start growing." Toad looked at the ground again. The seeds did not start to grow. There he is shouting at the seeds. Toad put his head very close to the ground and shouted, "Now, seeds, start growing!" Frog, his friend, came running up the path. "What is all this noise?" he asked. "My seeds will not grow," said Toad. "Well, you are shouting too much," said Frog. "Those poor seeds are afraid to grow." "My seeds are afraid to grow?" asked Toad. "Of course," said Frog. "Leave them alone for a few days. Let the sun shine on them. Let the rain fall on them. And soon your seeds will start to grow." Okay, there he's telling him the story, telling him how to do it. Well, that night, Toad looked out of his window. "Drat," said Toad. "My seeds have still not started to grow. They must be afraid of the dark. That's it." And Toad went out to his garden with some candles. And he put the candles outside with him. And he said, I will read the seeds a story. Then they will not be afraid." Yeah. And Toad read a long story to his seeds. And all the next day, Toad sang songs to his seeds. La 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 la, la 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 la, like that. And all the next day, Toad read poems to his seeds. "Oh, a tree is so beautiful." All the poems he knew, he would recite. And all the next day, Toad played music for his seeds. Like that. Toad looked at the ground, and the seeds still did not start to grow. "What shall I do?" cried Toad. "These must be the most frightened seeds in the whole world." Well, then Toad felt very tired. And he fell asleep. Like that. he is. Toad, Toad, wake up, said Frog. Look at your garden. Toad looked at his garden. Little green plants were coming up out of the ground. At last! shouted Toad. My seeds have stopped being afraid to grow. And now you will have a nice garden too, said Frog. Yes, said Toad, but you were right, Frog. It was very, very hard work.